The Ultimate Carry J-frame, let's check it out. Smith & Wesson J-frame. It's one of the most popular revolvers that Smith & Wesson has ever made. And it started out with a Model 36, and there are a ton of different models and different configurations, different calibers. And it's one of those guns that's still very popular for concealed carry even today. It's simple, it's easy to use. It does have a low round capacity, but there's just something about a wheel gun. Well, this is the Ultimate Carry J-frame, and this is a collaboration between Lipsey's and Smith & Wesson. Now, Lipsey's offers a number of exclusives, but to me, this is one that completely changes the game. It takes that iconic J-frame revolver and it makes it into a fighting handgun. And there are a lot of cool features and upgrades to the Ultimate Carry. It comes in 38 Special, but it also comes in 32 H&R Magnum. And today we're going to take a look at the 32 H&R Magnum. I mean, 32 is making a big comeback, whether it's semi-automatics or revolvers. And the big plus for 32 H&R Magnum is while it has power, it has low recoil. This makes a really light, handy, controllable J-frame revolver. Whether it goes in your pocket, whether it goes on your ankle, or on your belt. This is a great companion to have, and you barely know it's there, and yet it's very capable. And when they first introduced the Ultimate Carry J-frame, I was at Smith & Wesson. I got to test the 38 Special model and the 32 H&R Magnum. But I was so impressed with this caliber that I had to check it out. And I want to give a big thank you to Smith & Wesson for sending the Model 632 Ultimate Carry J-frame. But it's not going to change the fact that I'm going to give you a good, honest review. All right, guys, we have the Ultimate Carry J-frame, and this is from Smith & Wesson Model 632. This also comes in the 642, which is in 38 Special. This particular model is 32 H&R Magnum. And one thing about 32 is it's really making a comeback, not only with revolvers, but also in the semi-automatics. There's a number of different handguns, and one of the big reasons is just the light recoil and just the improvements in ammunition that make 32 ACP, 32 H&R Magnum, and 327 Federal Magnum. Just makes them more effective. That's a big plus, and it has considerably less recoil than 38 Special. In fact, it's about a 25% reduction in recoil. So let's go ahead and open up our cylinder. With the 32 H&R Mag, you get 6 rounds, which is an additional round over the 38 Special model. Also on this particular model, we have a titanium cylinder. Now this one does come in a stainless cylinder, and so that's going to actually reduce the weight. And this is really for more of a concealment handgun. The lightweight, the titanium cylinder, also the boot grip, which is a rubberized grip. It has texturing on the side. But on the standard Ultimate Carry J-frames, they have the high horn grip, and it's a VZ grip that comes all the way up to the top, and it allows for you to get your hand up higher and you have more control over the firearm. This is made really to carry in your boot as a concealed carry option that's just ultra light. I really like this model. Now, another thing that's a big plus for this handgun are the sights. I mean, typically with your J-frames, here's a Centennial. This is actually a 642. And you can see that it's just got those gutter type sights. They're low profile. This is an up close and personal gun. Here we've Lipsey's actually wanted to have sights that were usable. Now, these are the excess sights at the front. It has a tritium bead, and then it has a donut around it. And then here at the rear, we have a U-notch. And this is serrated. It's dovetailed. You could actually change these sights out if you wanted. But to me, this is a perfect sight combination. But also, we have a shrouded ejector. And you'll notice on the 642, it's open. And that gives it a little more protection. Also, the pins in the 642 or the 442 are aluminum pins. One of the upgrades they made with the Ultimate Carry is titanium pins, and that's in all the different Ultimate Carry models. We have a 1.88-inch barrel, which makes this really small and easy to conceal. But also, it has improvements to the trigger. Now, this is a double action only handgun, so you're not going to be able to do too much adjustment to the trigger pull weight because you've got to have enough spring tension to be able to activate that hammer reliably. But Smith & Wesson engineers went in and they smoothed out the hammer, the sear, the springs, and makes it just a smoother pull on the action. And we'll look at that in a minute. And then when it comes to the cylinder itself, you have your charge holes have been chamfered. And that means they've actually cut the edge off so it makes it easier to put in reloads and especially your wad cutters, which are very popular with the 32 H&Rs. And of course we have a steel ejector rod, and they have beveled the front of the cylinder. And so this is going to make it a little smoother when you're entering it into holsters and it doesn't snag. But all the internal parts are steel, except for just a few pins that again are titanium. And that's just going to give you more endurance. And you can see all the way through these small pins. After a while with aluminum on aluminum, they do wear. So this is just going to give you a longer life. And it has the traditional Smith & Wesson latch with the checkering, push forward and push out. But one improvement that's small in some ways but big in others is the Hillary hole. And the Hillary hole on the Ultimate Carries have been removed. And for a lot of guys, including myself, that's a big plus. With the boot grip, you're still getting that back strap, and it's going to make it really small. There's a nice silver finish to the aluminum. It's almost a baked-on finish, but it's really well done. With the 642 original Centennial, this has more of a matte finish to it. This more has a baked-on type finish. And I believe the barrel on the 642 is stainless, whereas there is an insert around this part of the sleeve. So this is going to give you stainless, but yet it's going to keep the weight down. And you'll notice the configuration on the front is definitely different than the original Smith & Wesson. But I'll tell you guys, these lightweight Centennials have been great. I have a 442 as well. I have been carrying that for years. It has a lot of wear to it. It's very smooth. But with 38 Special, it has a little bit of recoil. Unless you have one of these rubberized grips. If you start putting some other type grips on it, it can have a little bit of muzzle flip. Now, while this is chambered for 32 H&R Magnum, it also is compatible with your 32 Smith & Wesson Longs and just your standard 32 Smith & Wesson. And they will work in the handgun. Also, 32 ACP, because it has a little bit of a rim on it, will work in a lot of your 32 H&R Mag pistols. One thing about the Smith, and I've just read this, we're going to try it, is that because of the chamfering, sometimes you have light primer strikes on 32 ACP. But typically, with a lot of the others, it will work, and we're going to test that out, because this is actually more plentiful than a lot of your other rounds. But the 32 H&R Magnum is definitely a lot more ballistically capable than your 32 ACP. Now here we have 38 Special compared to your 32 H&R Magnum, and it's considerably larger. There is, again, quite a bit more recoil, about a 25% increase, but you have a heavier bullet weight. This is actually a 130 grain. It's target loads from Fiocchi, and we have a 85 grain jacketed hollow point. So we go from 85 grain up to 100 grain. Again, there are wad cutters, there are jacketed hollow points, buffalo bore. A number of different companies are making 32 H&R Mag. And from all the testing that's been done, 32 H&R Magnum actually holds up very well. It will go 12 inches in ballistic gel, up to 14, up to 20 inches. And with expansion, with your jacketed hollow points, but a lot of guys will carry the 100 grain wad cutter ammunition, which this is considered considered a wad cutter, and it's flat on the top and it has a nice projectile. This is 100 grain, so it's going to give you also a little bit extra weight. But overall, the 32 H&R is coming in to be a ballistic capable caliber for self-defense. Now guys, a plus for the 32 H&R mag is you can get the 32 Smith Wesson longs and then your just standard 32 Smith Wesson. The only problem with that is sometimes it can be a little difficult to get if you're just going into your local gun shop. But they can have it, and it's according to how stocked they are. But I had to mention Lucky Gunner because I needed some 32 H&R and I needed some 32 Smith & Wesson, and just ordered it, paid for it, and the next day the ammo arrived. I was pretty impressed with that. I know the guys at Lucky Gunner, but I didn't mention that I was buying this. Guys, that's a great resource. And two, Chris Baker does a great job on their YouTube channel, and Anthony and Angela, they're just great to deal with. Now we're going to shoot one cylinder with the 32 Smith & Wesson long, and this is 100 grain, and it's a lead round nose. We're just going to start out from there and move up. Super easy recoil. Next we're going to go with the Remington, and this is the Wheel Performance. It's a semi-wad cutter and it's 95 grain, and this is 32 H&R Magnum. Definitely more recoil, a lot more report. You can tell that's just a modern round, but still extremely manageable. Next we're going with the Federal 32 H&R Magnum. This is a 95 grain semi-wad cutter. More recoil, a little more than the Winchester wheel gun. Now the Remington HTP. This is 85 grain. It's 32 H&R Magnum, and this is jacketed hollow points. Less recoil than the 32 H&R Magnums in both of the wad cutters. It's a 10 grain difference, but still a lot less recoil. So that would be a great round for expansion, but you also want penetration. Now with your trigger pull, again, this has been improved. It's heavy, but it's really smooth. You come up to it and you can feel it come out of lock, and then you're ready to fire. And revolvers are notorious, especially in double action only, to have really heavy trigger pulls. And while this is heavy, it's smooth. And a lot of times, smooth really makes it easier to shoot. And let's check out the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 10 pounds, 9.2 ounces. 10 pounds, 6.7 ounces. Honestly, because of the cylinder, it's difficult not to interfere, but typically these are known to have about 10-pound triggers. So one of the important things about that is that you need to train. And when I first got my first 642, I was having a hard time getting decent groups until I took it out and shot it considerably, really got used to the way the trigger felt, and then after a while I began to tighten my groups even better and better. And now I love shooting double action revolvers, and you need to master it. All right, the weight on the model 632 Ultimate Carry, 12.85 ounces. The weight on the J-Frame 642, 14.56 ounces, and that has everything to do with this cylinder being stainless steel compared to titanium. One beautiful thing about a J-frame revolver is there are a ton of holster options. There's a ton of grip options. Any of your J-frames, they should be compatible. So you're going to have just out of the box, you're ready to go. Also, there are speed loaders for the 32 H&R mags. In fact, there's a number of companies that make them. So really, this is not necessarily something new. And of course, 32 H&R Magnum came out in the early 80s. And so it's been around for a while, but now that we're seeing resurgence with 32 ACP and a lot of semi-automatics, a lot of interest is going also to its revolver brother. And with the light recoil it's just very appealing. The one thing about it, it may not be quite as ballistically capable as, let's say, a 38 Special, but you're going to be able to get on target quicker, and you can probably get shots off faster. So that's a plus, and you have an additional round. But guys, again, if you don't really care about 32 H&R Mag, you can always go with the model 642 or 442 in the Ultimate Carry. Guys, we have a number of different ammos for the 632. We have just some standard Smith & Wesson longs. We couldn't find just the standard Smith & Wesson, but we will be trying those out. And we have quite a bit of the H&R Magnum. So we're going to be testing out some different ones. Also, we're going to compare it to the original Centennial in 38, just for recoil purposes, just to see how it does. Again, guys, I got this from Lucky Gunner, and I bought it, and man, I ordered it one day, got it the next. So just kudos to Lucky Gunner. Of course, with loading, just very simple. Just push out your cylinder and just put in those 6 rounds. And we're going to start out with the Smith & Wesson longs, just to try those out. All right, guys, we have the Ultimate Carry J-frame. J-frames are huge with Smith & Wesson. They're one of their most popular selling firearms. A lot of that has to do with the simplicity. It's a revolver. You load it, you shoot it, you dump the shells out, you reload it. The big thing about these is you've got to have good dexterity and hand strength to pull that trigger. It's about a 10-pound trigger pull, and it's really smooth. With the Ultimate Carry, very nice pull. You don't feel any kind of catches or anything. It just comes back really nice. And that's part of the Ultimate Carry package. Sights, big deal. Love the sights. XS Sights makes great sights already. And you've got them dovetailed in, and you can actually see them. That's a big plus. Titanium cylinder, you can get it with the stainless. It'll give it a little more weight. This is so lightweight. And with the 32 H&R Magnum, it's not really that hard to handle. So I love it. I love what they've done, the titanium pins to keep it strong. But as far as just shooting it, that boot grip is really nice, and it just makes it smaller. To be honest, the VZ grips, if you get that model, it just kind of fills your hand. But this, for a more of a concealable type firearm, it's going to be a great option. Now, you feel the power, but again, the recoil is just not that bad. Now, we've been shooting some Smith & Wesson 32 longs, and they're super sweet to shoot. In fact, we're going to go ahead and shoot up a cylinder. We've already done a little comparison with them, just to kind of get a feel for it. But if you want to shoot something fun, the 32 Smith & Wesson or the 32 Smith & Wesson longs are going to be a great option for range. Plus, they typically come in 50-round boxes, where the 32 H&R mags come in 20-round boxes. So it's a little more expensive. I mean, that is very light recoil. Just makes this a lot of fun. Great to slip in your back pocket, if you're walking the dog, or even just regular concealed carry. I mean, with this kind of load. The recoil is really mild, but again, the big thing about this, where I would not necessarily recommend this to those with weaker hand strength, is the trigger. And the ammunition, just being able to find it. It's not quite readily available like it is with others. Some of your big box stores will have it. Now, I brought out the 642 and 38 Special. So I want to go ahead and shoot that just to remind myself. And these are just regular 130 grain, I think, round nose, jacketed round noses. But it's going to give you just an idea of the difference of recoil. And you have 5 shots. So you have 1 extra shot. But you can see there's considerable amount more recoil. With 38 Special, though, it's pretty easy to shoot. You put plus P's in here and you know it. I mean, it gives you a lot of recoil, but it's a great self-defense option. This is going to be a little bit better. It's definitely going to have some more power, but the 32 H&R Magnum is just one of those sweet shooters, and yet it can still perform. There's so many freaking choices. Now we have some 32 ACP, and it has a slight rim around it, But I have heard that the 642, especially the Ultimate Carry, can have some light primer strikes, and that may be because of the chamfering that goes around the cylinder. We're going to check it out and just see what it does. All right, 32 ACP. Has a funky sound to it, but it fired all the rounds. And 32 ACP is pretty cheap compared to 32 H&R Magnum, but that's a pretty weak load. I don't know if I'd use that on a regular basis. Now, while there's not really any disassembly, we are going to talk a little bit about cleaning. And one thing that you want to keep clean is your cylinders right here. Just running your brush through here, keeping it nice and clean. The front of your cylinder face. Also, you do not want to oil your ejector rod. If you do, it'll start to gum up because there's a lot of powder residue that comes here. So while that may be tempting to just throw that in, just don't oil that. Also, keeping this clean right here, your top strap and around the forcing cone. This gets a lot of debris and smoke and gunpowder, and so you want to keep this clean. And of course your barrel, the face right here, just keep this nice and wiped down. And if you'll do that, you'll have a lot of reliability out of these small revolvers. Taking these things apart, you're definitely chancing things because sometimes, again, putting them back together can be a little bit of a chore. And two, don't go in and lighten your springs and trying to make the trigger pull less heavy, because all that'll do is weaken the primer strikes, and you don't want to do that. You want a reliable handgun. Otis makes some of the best cleaning equipment out there. They make a number of different kits that are dedicated for different rifles, pistols. They also have Shooter's Choice, which makes excellent CLP and bore solvent and different cleaning materials. The Ripcord is one of their signatures, and there's a whole system based around it. They are suppliers to the U.S. military. So check out Otis Technologies, highly recommended, and we want to thank Otis for being a sponsor of the channel. And guys, you get your Smith & Wesson box, but I'm not even going to open it because it's pretty much just the revolver and the owner's manual. All right, guys, let's talk about price. With the Ultimate Carry J-frame, Smith & Wesson model 632, they start out at $679, and that is the stainless steel cylinder with the boot grip. If you step it up to the high horn VZ grip, it's running $769 retail. But then if you get the titanium with the boot grip, it's going to be retail $825. Of course, market price is going to be less, and it should be with the 38 specials or the 32 H&R Mag. What are some pros and cons? First off, this is a proven design. The J-frame has been around for decades, and it's been proven, and again, the market is growing for these small little revolvers. They're very reliable, and of course, Smith & Wesson's been around for a long time, putting out really high quality guns. But with the Ultimate Carry model, you're getting a better grip system. Now with the boot grip, that's not too much different than some of the other grips that you're seeing, but with the high horn VZ grip, that's a big plus. Trigger pull has been improved and it's been polished. Springs have been attuned to this action. You can get your titanium cylinder, which makes this really light, but you'll get titanium pins with all of these in an aluminum frame. Also, probably one of the biggest things is the sights. The excess sights, I mean that tritium at the front, it's easy to pick up, and then the serrations on the back, and these are changeable if you want to put something else on there. And with the cylinder, the charging holes being chamfered, and then you're having a bevel that goes around the cylinder, that's just going to give you more advantages, and it is a covered ejector rod. So a lot of cool things over your standard 642 or 442 Smith & Wesson. And with the 32 H&R Mag, you're getting an additional round over your 38 Special, and you're getting considerably less recoil, up to about 25% less. Now that also translates into a little less ballistic capability, but you're going to have speed in getting second shots off and just more control of the handgun. So those are pros and cons. Ammunition availability, that's definitely one thing that is going to be a con over 38 Special, which there is a plethora of different 38 Special choices. Most of your gun shops, if not all, have some 38 Special. Also, you are down to just 6 shots. Over, a semi-automatic, I mean, even, the SIG P365, you've got 10, 12 rounds. Here, it's just tougher to reload, and it's just a little bit different. But again, a lot of people carry revolvers, and a lot carry them just as backups. And again, the market for revolvers has grown. So as far as the ultimate carry J-frame, whether you go with 32 H&R Magnum or 38 Special, I think there's a lot of upgrades with this Smith & Wesson. And a big thanks to Lipsey's for bringing this as an exclusive. So guys, whether you go with the Model 36 Smith & Wesson J-frame, which really kind of started it all, or you move it on up, I mean, we have evolved into something that to me is just much more self-defense friendly. It's more performance guided, and with these type sights, it's easier to see. And then with the calibers, I mean, 32 H&R Mag is a great caliber for self-defense, and again, low recoil. But obviously, they have the 38 Special models as well. So it's just great to see the line continuing to evolve from a traditional revolver wheel gun, and we're really getting up to modern day standards. So guys, having a J-frame 38 Special, especially a Centennial Airweight, is just one of those guns that is so lightweight, so easy to carry. But yet, with the Ultimate Carry J-frame, this gives you even more of a capable firearm. And with Lipsey's offering an exclusive with all of these upgrades, while this is like a custom firearm, it makes it more available and the price is right. And again, a big thank you to Smith & Wesson for sending the Ultimate Carry J-frame Model 632 for this review. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. Started out in 32 Smith & Wesson. I don't know that. I don't even really know that. Is that you can shoot your 38s. And we're going to talk about ever made. And honestly, okay, I don't know that. I don't really know that. And the trigger, okay, now I'm getting way freaking ahead. 642, okay. They are one of the largest distributors. Okay. That's good. I'm going in a good direction, but not quite. They're 442 and 642. The Smith & Wesson J-frame is one of the most popular revolvers ever made. It's handy. It's handy.